Welcome, everyone, to the NUSAI Health Community. This initiative, brought to you by the Alice Lee Center for Nursing Studies, ALCANS, at the Yon Luoline School of Medicine, National University of Singapore, NUS, is part of the NUSAI Community of Practice, NUSAI CA. Our primary aim is to educate healthcare professionals on the application of artificial intelligence, AI, in healthcare. This project is funded by the NUS Center for Teaching, Learning, and Technology, CTLT, Teaching Enhancement Grants, TEG, FY 2023/2024. Within our learning community, we offer foundational AI knowledge and skills tailored specifically for healthcare professionals. We also promote collaboration and share AI-integrated teaching plans for healthcare education among local and international participants. Allow me to introduce the dedicated members of the NUSAI Health Community who contribute their expertise and enthusiasm towards leveraging AI for the betterment of healthcare. We also extend our gratitude to NUS Center for Teaching, Learning, and Technology, CTLT, for their invaluable contributions towards funding and publicity, which have been instrumental in making our community thrive. But that's not all. Brace yourselves for our monthly webinars featuring expert speakers delving into AI and its myriad applications in healthcare industry and education. Additionally, our platform serves as a hub for learning resources and event updates, ensuring you stay updated of all the latest developments. And if that's not enticing enough, our YouTube channel hosts a wealth of training courses focused on AI in the healthcare industry and education. Don't miss out on the opportunity to be part of this dynamic community. Subscribe to our channel at NUSA Health Community and visit our website to stay tuned for exciting updates on our upcoming events.
Good morning, educators, researchers, and all participants. So it's a morning time in Singapore. So good morning. Yeah, I'd like to welcome everyone to the monthly webinar organized by the NUS AI Health Community. And my name is Piani Yobash. A main facilitator for the NUS AI community. And I really apologize that I am unable to turn on my camera today due to the malfunction issue. So today we will present to you another webinar entitled AI-driven in mental health education. So it's my privilege to introduce our great speaker today, Dr. Rakesh Maurya. He served as assistant professor at the University of North Florida, USA, where he teaches in the master program in school counseling and the doctorate program in educational leaderships. He earns his PhD in counselor education and supervision from the University of Wyoming, USA. Dr. Maurya's research interests include the integration of the technology into counseling and counselor preparation, as well as counselor well-being. A recognized expert in qualitative research methodologies, including phenomenology, grounded theories, narrative inquiry, case study, and ethnography. Dr. Maurya has published extensively on the use of artificial intelligence, AI in counselor education and supervision. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Rakesh Maurya.
Thank you, Piani. That's a wonderful introduction. I hope all of you can hear me well. Siobhan, if there is any issue during the presentation, just let me know. I'm just trusting that the technology between like US and Singapore, it just smoothly, function in the next 2 hours. So thank you very much for having me. I'm really excited to be here and share my research, the knowledge that I have learned in the last 3 years working on AI in mental health field. So today, in the next 2 hours, we are going to, I will share in a PowerPoint format some of the key learnings and how you all can use AI in your own practice, be in a classroom, be it like in a therapeutic setting, or if you are engaged in supervising students in their clinical or internship or practicum settings, and what might be some ethical issues that you need to think about. So let me share my screen first. see. All right, I hope you all could see my screen.
Yes, I can.
Okay, that's great. You make it on presenter mode. We'll start from the very beginning. All right, so you all could see on my screen, I already done a brief introduction. Peony has already done it. So that's what we're going to do in the next 2 hours. We will go through, we'll start with understanding what is AI and how does it work behind the picture. Sometime most of us, including me, I used to go to ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, Google AI, and just put information. And I was mesmerized. But later on, I started, exploring more about how does this technology work? What is the statistics? What are the systems behind the pictures? Because we as users, we only see the front side. We put an input and then we get a response. But what happens behind the scenes? We'll talk briefly in layman terms, and then we'll talk about AI in the context of being an instructor, being a faculty member, and how, as a faculty preparing mental health professionals, counselor, you can use AI to enhance your students' learning, and also how you can use AI in assessing your student learning. So both assessment as well as how you can use it in like lectures and other aspect of being a faculty member. Then we will move to talk about how AI can be used as a supportive tool in counseling. So if I am providing counseling services, telehealth services, then how can I incorporate AI in my day-to-day functioning? What might be some possibilities as of the technology that we have now? And finally, we will cover ethical considerations, what might be some possible ethical consideration when I'm integrating AI as an instructor, as a practitioner. And then towards the second half of our session, we will spend time, I will take your questions if you have any, and then we will discuss on those questions. So that's how we are going to spend the next 2 hours. So let's start with the first thing. What is AI? I mean, when you write something in ChatGPT, what does it happen? And today's word, whenever most of us, when we hear the word AI, the first thing comes to our mind is like ChatGPT. And oftentimes people think like AI is like a chatbot. So you go to this chatbot, you put in information, you get information. So yes, AI chatbot is one type of AI, but it's not only limited to that. AI right now is used in different fields like healthcare, where AI can assist in diagnosing disease through, imaging. So like X-rays and all those tests, AI are being used to diagnose or personalized medicine based on the analysis of the patient's data. AI is actively used in transportation as well. In the road, you see the red light and all those things, those city, how a city functions in terms of managing those basic systems. AI also is actively being used to collect data and smooth functioning, better functioning of those transportation related system. AI is also being used in finance, like fraud detection systems. They use AI to identify unusual pattern in any transactions. Banks, they try to detect those frauds with the help of AI. Entertainment industry too, like AI is used like recommend, like if you, I'm sure most of you must be using Amazon Prime or Netflix to watch your favorite movies and all those things. And these companies use AI to track your watching patterns, and based on those data and patterns, they give you more recommendations, like this might be a good fit for you to watch a movie or series or anything. So AI right now is used, basically it's a machine learning, which is has certain characteristic. Which the first one is the ability to learn from data and also like improve over time. So when you think about AI, what it does is as it is providing a service, at the same time it is also collecting data to update their information so that it's like learn from the data and keep on improving over time. These AI machine learning also is related to the reasoning, the ability to make decisions or solve problems. Uh, that's why they are called like a certain level up. They are not like completely human-like reasoning ability as of now, but if you look at all different chatbots and other AI systems, there are significant progress in terms of these machines' ability to make decisions and solve problems for their consumers, the people who are using those tools. Perceptions, yes, sensory data perceptions, vision, sound, touch, they use this data to make decisions for their consumers. A new development, relatively new development, because machine learning is like, it's been there for the last 2 decades, like early 2000. It's used in different capacity at different levels. However, a significant change happened, a progress took place when natural language processing abilities kind of become more powerful. So now you could see the AI can not only understand your input, whatever input you give, but it also give you a generate human-like response. So it is now equipped to find the answer and put it in a human language to provide the answer to those questions or those things. And finally, the ability to adapt to new situations or changes in the environments. As I said previously, these AI machines, they keep adapting based on the new data that comes to us. So it's like a constant learning, constant becoming better and better based on the new input, the new data, the new materials they are being exposed to. So that's briefly about some of the characteristics of AI. But as I said previously, let's learn it in the context of chatbot. And I'm sure most of you right now would be using ChatGPT. So what happens when you enter any query in ChatGPT? What happens behind the scenes? So to understand this, you could see on my screen, imagine yourself as a librarian who has read every book in the world. You are a librarian and you have this supernatural power. You have read each and every kind of book found in any library across the world. And when you are learning these books, you are also not only learning the content, but also learning the sentence structures. And based on that, so imagine yourself like a librarian like that. So what happens when somebody approaches to you and says, why the sky is blue? So what happens, you as the smartest librarian who has read all the books, what you do is like, first you decode the query. And in this example, the query is why the sky is blue. To decode that, what AI does is, behind the scenes, it breaks down your query into small tokens. And these tokens are like, a word, or a group of phrases, or a word. So in this example, when you enter why the sky is blue, what they do behind the scenes is they create tokens out of your query. So in this example, one token is why, the second token is, the third token is the, fourth token is sky, fifth token is blue, and finally the sixth token is the question mark. And these tokens are like if you're reading a book, so it's like they use these tokens to go back into the data that has been trained on. And it's like the data which has it been trained on, it recognizes the patterns, it recognizes these individual tokens. For example, Y, D, sky, blue, and it looks for a pattern in their database, massive database. And what it does, based on the pattern, it has been identified or learned through all this massive data. It predicts the best possible answer based on those learned patterns. For example, let's say if this data set has a book, has a material that says that the sky is blue because of blah, 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 blah. So what it does is it goes deeper into those documents, and it turns into a statistical sort of probability that what is the highest probability in terms of the query, in terms of the tokens which has been input here. So what happens, it creates an answer based on the training's data and based on the pattern it has in a data set. So you could see the chatbot construct a response based on it try to predict what word or phrase might come next. So it's like the first token could be the sky is blue because, and then it uses the data set. So it's a blue light scattered more than one color and all these things. And it organizes in a pattern, which is like these chatbot are trained on how the structure of the language and all these things. So it writes an answer based on that. And then it produces an outcome in a human readable sentence. One thing I want all of you to understand that these AI machines, these chatbots, they use behind the scene the statistical probability models. For instance, if I have a sentence which is like, I am going to blah, blah, blah. So what it does is it reads this prompt and goes back into the data set and see what is the highest probability to come the next word which might come later. So the bottom line is all these systems are using these statistical models. And what it means is the output of any chatbot, any AI is directly proportional to the data it has been trained upon. So if let's say take the same example, why the sky is blue. And let's imagine that in all the data set where this chatbot is being trained, if there is nothing about sky blue, then what will happen? The output will be affected. The output will not be correct. So we need to understand that the output of any chatbot, the quality of that output is dependent on the massive data it has been trained on. So the more massive, more diverse the data is, the better the output will be. If the data is very skewed on which a chatbot is being trained, the output is also going to be skewed. So that's briefly about what happens behind the scenes when we put any input, any query to a chatbot. Now, as I said previously, the first thing I wanted to share about, I myself I'm a counselor educator at a university here. I teach in a school counseling program. I teach clinical classes and also non-clinical classes. So in the last 2-3 years, I experimented with chatbot in terms of asking myself how I can use these AI tools to improve my ability to teach and improve my ability to assess effectively the learning of my students. So, as you all know, if you are a faculty instructor in a mental health preparation program, be it counselor, be it counselor, other specialities such as, mental health therapist, school counselor, or other specialty, one thing which I have seen very common, whether it's Singapore or it is United States, that our program is primarily governed by the learner-focused pedagogy and experiential learning methods. What it means is, in our classes, since we want our student to learn these clinical skills, we try to create our coursework to provide that experiential learning, not only the content knowledge, but also how can be used and practiced in our day-to-day practice or life. So all these programs, counseling programs or mental health professionals program, they focus on experiential learning. For instance, last summer, I taught this class, which was lifespan development. So this class is about helping a student understand how a human being develops over the lifespan. What are the characteristics of adolescent, adult, or older people, or infant, or early childhood? What are some personality traits? What are some developmental stages through which an individual goes through? And this class is more very highly content focused. Now, in this class, my mode of teaching is more sort of using quizzes, explaining, and then also doing some presentation and all that. Now, this semester, I'm teaching foundational clinical skills, basic counseling skills, such as how to reflect feelings, how to reflect meaning, how to summarize, how to show empathy, how to be with your client, how to develop effective therapeutic skills, how to build a strong relationship with your client. So this class is more experiential in nature. So I do a lot of experiential activities, such as I do role play. So what I do is I just tell my student, like, okay, I'm the counselor. I need one person to volunteer to be my client. And in front of the whole class, I demonstrate the skills that I want them to learn. And then they observe me in action, and then they practice. So I incorporate a lot of experiential ways to help my student learn. So in summary, as a faculty, as an instructor, we use both, I think, different ways of incorporating ways to help our student learn content and also experiential learning in classes. So let's spend some time about how we need to change our evaluation strategy as a faculty member. So I remember before COVID happened, in my classes, some classes which are mostly content focused, I used to have some quizzes. So mid-semester, end of the semester, I might have like a 10 quiz or 20 quiz questions, sometimes multiple choice questions, sometimes true, false, short answer type questions, fill in the blanks type of questions to assess the content knowledge of my students. But I realized that after chat and these quizzes, most of them I put it on Canvas or the online platform where a student can take the quiz at their home. So what I realized is that after this AI chatbot became popular after like 2022, you can put any question in chatbot and it gives you the answer. So to maintain the fidelity of the test become like difficult if I give a quiz to a student online and student is sitting their home, they can simply copy the question, put it in the chatbot, and get the right answer. So we need to change our strategy. If you are doing an open book quiz, then it's fine. But if you are not doing an open book quiz and you are giving this quiz online on any educational platform, the fidelity is very difficult to maintain, to ensure. So that's where I changed my own assessment strategies. So last summer, when I was teaching this class on lifespan development, I did the quiz in person in the class. So I printed the quiz, I gave it to my student, they take the quiz, I collected it, and then I graded it. So that's one thing I think we should change, particularly if it is a closed book quiz, because you cannot ensure the fidelity of your test if you are giving a student a take-home exam and or they can take it online and they can, it's very difficult to do that. So that's number one. Another thing that I use as a counselor educator is what I do, like if I'm teaching any chapter and then I have to create quiz. So you all can create quiz with the help of AI tools such as ChatGPT. So what I can suggest and recommend is, let's say you are teaching chapter 1. So what you could do is go to ChatGPT, upload this chapter 1 soft copy or PDF file, and ask ChatGPT something like, I am a counselor educator teaching this class. Please create 20 multiple choice questions based on the uploaded document. So you can give this command and then the ChatGPT will write 20 multiple choice questions for you. And then obviously you will not blindly copy those questions. You will read it and you can see whether you want to include that question or you want to exclude that questions. But what it does is it saves your time. I remember like a couple of years ago, I used to spend a lot of time reading my chapter and thinking about what might be a good question. So it took a lot of time. Now you can save your time by taking the help of AI to create any kind of questions. It could be a multiple choice question or true false question or fill in the blanks question or short answer type questions. And the thing I recommend is, let's say I want to create a quiz of 20 multiple choice questions. So what I suggest is ask ChatGPT to create 40 questions, more than what you need. And then you can look at all the questions and then you can shortlist which questions you want to include in your assessment and which quiz you do not. So basically you have more options to choose from. And I use this strategy and it's very, very helpful. So that's briefly about quizzes. You can use AI to support your teaching and your assessment. Another assignment that we educators use is paper writing or essay writing assignment. And these assignments were very commonly used. So sometimes, and they're a good assignment because what it does is it helps us to evaluate the understanding of a concept, whether the students are really understanding it or not. This assignment also help you to assess the critical thinking skills of your student. So in these counselor education, other mental health programs, essay writing, 5-page article on this topic or that, any topic that you are covering in your coursework was very commonly used in our assessment of students. However, after these AI chatbot become popular and they can write very well, this is not like having such assignment where you ask student to compare theory 1 with theory 2 or something like that. student can simply just go to ChatGPT and just give this command, write a 5-page essay on theory this and theory that, and compare and contrast and all these things. ChatGPT can write it in like 30 seconds, less than a minute, a whole 5-page paper. And student can simply copy and paste it. So that's one challenge that that is in front of us as educators, like how to use this assignment or paper or essay writing assignment in the light of all these chatbots available. Another thing to keep in mind, it's very difficult to identify whether a student has used AI or not. Reason being, there are certain tools available in the market, but none of the tools can claim that it's 100% accurate. They might tell you something like, there is 60% chance that the student has used AI in writing this paper. There is 40% chance that the student has used AI in writing the paper. But none of the tools are like completely like accurate. So in that context, I recommend faculty members to tweak the assignment. So how do you tweak an assignment? In counselor education, what I do is, rather than asking student to write a paper which is focused on content understanding or talking about a particular theory or content, I make it more sort of a reflective assignment. So what I do, I might say, okay, talk about theory A and connect it with your internship experience. So what I'm doing, the student is talking about theory, but also connecting with the experience they are having. So I think that's how you can make this assignment more powerful, in the sense like AI cannot be used in writing it, because when it comes to personal experience, it has to be your own reflective experience. So that's what I recommend everybody to do that. So let's look at an example. So here on your screen, you could see it's an actual example. So what happened, this assignment is taken from the play therapy class that I took when I was a student like 5 years ago. So if you read this assignment says that you will have to write an article, like an essay, where you will be comparing two play therapy theories. So one is person's child-centered play therapy, and then they have to choose another theory, which might be Adlerian play therapy, Jungian play therapy, or structured play therapy. And then what they need to do is to write this 5-page essay talking about these two theories and talking about what is the role of a therapist, what importance is placed on the relationship, how the relationship looks like in these two theories, what level of structuring is needed in each theory, what are the goals and objective of play therapy according to these two theories. And then they have to write this, in an APA style, essay. So as I said, that if you write this prompt in ChatGPT, it will write a good article in like 1 minute, and any student can simply copy and paste it. So I tweaked this assignment to make it more connected with more personal, reflective experience, so that they have to process, think, reflect when they are writing it. So what I did was I changed it to make it more like, like you could see here, describe your role as a play therapist in your support, provide a rational grounded in literature, research, and various models of play therapy, such as child-centered play therapy and all these approaches. So what I'm doing here is I'm asking the question to them rather than about a theory, all that. I'm saying, what is your role as a play therapist? Tell me your role based on the theory that you follow. What is your role? And then if you choose another theory, then what is the role of a therapist in that particular theory? And describe how important is the therapeutic relationship, and what would you do to promote and build this relationship? So what would you do? So see, the function is more about what you do rather than what a theory does and what is followed in a particular theory. I'm focusing on what would you do to promote a good therapeutic relationship with your client. Describe what kind of degree of structuring you would provide and the purpose and rationale behind that. So now the student need to think, reflect, and talk about their own ways of structuring when they provide play therapy to kids. Describe the goal and objective of your personal model of working as a play therapist. So now describe what, according to what you follow, what are the goals and objectives of your particular approach of providing services. So you could say like, this is how I change this assignment based on we are living in this world, which is like where AI can write the paper so quickly. So that is one thing I recommend all faculty members. If you are using an essay writing assignment for your students based on any topic, make sure you connect with the personal experience, reflection from the students so that it's more personalized. And when it is more personalized, obviously AI cannot help in that context because students have to think, apply, and then write that answer. Another assignment that we as counselor educators use is projects, presentations. So I tell students like, okay, you can go to any AI tools and you can, if you are, let's say, presenting on a particular topic as part of the classroom assignment, then you can use AI tools. There's no problem. However, make sure that you do not blindly copy the output from these tools because it may generate incorrect or inaccurate response. So make sure that you compare or check or verify the output from other sources such as your books or research articles so that everything is correct. Sometimes these AI tools give you discriminatory output because of their biased training data. If the training data is biased, the output is going to be biased too. So the bottom line is telling a student that, okay, if you are using AI to prepare for this particular project or presentation in the class, make sure you verify the information from other sources. Do not blindly copy the information. Another thing is which I use a lot as an educator is case vignettes. As you all know that in the field of counseling or any mental health field, as educators, we use case examples to help our student learn and also assess our student. For instance, I used to teach diagnosis class. So what I used to do, like I used to create case vignettes and I take it to the class and I teach my content and then I distribute these cases and ask students to apply the knowledge they have learned to diagnose this person in this case. And then towards the end of the semester, I had this final exam where I created all these case vignettes and I gave these case vignettes to student and they have to diagnose this case, the person mentioned in that cases. So I used case vignettes in both helping a student learn the content and also assessing their knowledge. However, creating case vignettes take a lot of time. It used to take a lot of time. So now what I do is I use AI tools to generate first template of these case vignettes. So what I do, let's say if I'm teaching diagnosis class and today I'm going to teach, let's say, a generalized anxiety disorder. So my content is ready. So what I do, I can go to ChatGPT and say, hey, I'm teaching case conceptualization skill in my diagnosis class. create a case vignette on a client experiencing general anxiety disorder to assess students' knowledge. So what it will do, it will create like this. You could all see on my screen now, this case vignette is generated by AI. And see, I did a little bit of editing and this case looks wonderful. So when I go to my class, I teach my content, I distribute this case and ask my student, based on what we have covered in the class today, I want you to diagnose this person. And this is a very powerful way to help students learn and practice what they are learning. So what AI does is it saves my time. Initially, before AI came in, these chatbots, I used to manually create these vignettes and it took me hours and hours of thinking and creating these cases. Now I get the initial draft from AI or ChatGPT, and then I edit it based on, I can minimize the complexity, I can add some more background information, I can remove some information which I don't like. So what it does is a case vignette which used to take like 5 hours to create, now I can create my case vignette in like 15 minutes or 20 minutes or half an hour, including my editing time. So this is another powerful tool that I use when I teach and also in my assessment as well. Finally, another thing I use AI is about developing some lectures. So if I have to develop a lecture, obviously I have my textbook and other resource materials, research articles, I use those, but to save some more time and make it a better lecture, I use AI. And what I do is I go to AI and say something like you could see on my screen, I'm a professor wanting to provide a 1-hour lecture on blah, 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 blah. And then I say, please write the lecture in outline format. And you see the example here, this is what the ChatGPT output comes out. So what AI can help us as educators is, it can help us build lecture and then you don't need to blindly copy and paste those lectures output, but it gives you a beginning template, something to start from rather than reinventing everything from zero. So it saves your time, and also, you can create a very rich, very detailed lecture with the help of AI and also your own personal knowledge that you have from the books, from the research, and you can create a powerful lecture. Make sure, like when we'll talk about it later also, is when you give a command, instruction to these AI tools, be explicit. So if you pay attention, if I do not write the context, it will give you an answer, but not as good. So here I provided the context. What was the context? I'm a professor wanting to provide a 1-hour lecture on the important aspect of APA 7 edition. So now it knows the context that I'm a professor. I'm going to teach APA style, so I need a lecture on that. So full context. And then I provide some more guidance around write this lecture in an outline format. So the better prompt you give to these AI tools, the better output you'll get. So learning the art of writing a good prompt is very, very important. All right, so now we talked about the assessment, how you can assess your student. And also we talked about how you can use AI in preparing your lectures and creating case vignettes. Now let's switch gears and talk about another important thing, which is role play. As I said previously, that in clinical classes, we use role play to help our student practice and learn the clinical skills. So how we can incorporate, AI in supporting our students learning of these skills. So I did some research on that, and I had some publication on that too, which is my research was focused on how I can use ChatGPT as a simulated client to practice and refine my counseling skills. So I developed this model, and in this model, as an instructor, I can use ChatGPT as a simulated client in different format. So in my counseling clinical classes, what I do is structure-wise, I can do many things. So structure-wise, I can create a fishbowl. So fishbowl is like a teaching strategy you might already have done in your classes, where you have some people sit in the inner circle and rest of the students sit in the outer circle, like a fishbowl. So in terms of structuring this simulation or practice, what I do is I ask like 3 students in the inner circle and rest of the student in the outer circle. And these 3 students sitting in the inner circle, what they do is they work with, they have their laptop and they start the simulated role play, and then based on the output, they discuss among each other, the 3 of them, what might be a suitable response to what the ChatGPT output is as a client. And then based on what they decide, they input the response. And then the people sitting in the outer circle, they observe, and that's how it goes. And then you come as a whole class and discuss and process. So you can use structure-wise ChatGPT as a simulated role play in classes in a fishbowl. You can also do it in a like triadic function, triadic structure-wise in a triadic way, which means you have like 3 students. One student becomes a counselor, one student becomes an observer, and then one student, ChatGPT is like a simulated client. So you have client, which is ChatGPT, a student who is the counselor, and another student who is an observer. And then the students start chatting with ChatGPT as a counselor, providing counseling responses. And then the observer sort of sits and observe. And then after they are done the session, maybe they can pause in the middle and then the process together. So you can do it like a triadic structure-wise as well. And then this is also when students get a sense of how to use ChatGPT to use it as a simulated client to practice their counseling skills, they can work at their home. So if I'm a student, I'm at my home, I can open my laptop, I can log into my ChatGPT, and then I start simulated role play as a counselor and ChatGPT as a client to refine and practice my counseling skills. So that's one-to-one structure. Now let's talk about how to prepare for the role play. How do you prepare? So we talked about structure-wise, could be a fishbowl, could be a triadic, could be one-to-one. Now let's talk about how do you prepare for the role play. The first thing is how to write a good prompt to begin a role play. So you could see on my screen, I have written this prompt, which is, I am a counselor in training. I want to practice counseling skills through role play. And then I will take the role of the counselor and you will take the role of a client. So you see this prompt is like giving all the information very clearly. First sentence is about context. So what is the context? I'm a counselor in training. The second is what is the purpose? I want to practice counseling skills through role play. And the third is specific guidelines regarding the role play, which is I will take the role of a counselor and you will take the role of a client. And this is important because sometimes when I started experimenting, I found that ChatGPT takes the role of a counselor and treats me like a client. I was like, no, 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 no. I want you to be client and I will be the counselor because I want to refine my skills, right? So if you write this input, you will get a response like this, which is, sure, I would be happy to help with a role play exercise. Please let me know the context or type of client you'd like me to portray. So once you give that prompt, the next thing is you should be ready with a case vignette, a case that you want the ChatGPT to play the role of. So here I have put an example you could see on your screen. So I can write something like, here is the client role that I want you to play. And this is the client. Tyler is a 17-year-old 12th grader, a white male, recently experienced the loss of a close family member, his grandmother, and he is struggling with grief. He seeks assistance from the school counselor to navigate the grieving process, find healthy coping mechanism, and access additional support resources to help him cope with the loss. So this is the case that because ChatGPT is going to ask what role you want me to play. Tell me about the background. So this case should be ready with you when you start the process of the simulated role play. Now, and then after you are done with this simulated role play, you can copy and download this conversation, and then you can analyze, or you can bring it to your instructor, and then you could analyze your own responses, like whether I'm using my counseling skills well, am I doing good reflections, am I doing good summarization, am I showing good empathy? So all these things you can analyze, so it will help you to refine your skills through these practice. Another thing to keep in mind when you create your case vignette for role play, provide a brief description, provide some sort of background information. That's why I wrote it here. If you provide more details, the role play will be more interesting. If you don't provide a lot of details, then it might be skewed. So provide some information about the background of your client, maybe the age, gender, other demographic variables you want to provide them. And ChatGPT can itself create case vignettes. So you can go yourself and say, hey, I want you to create 5 case vignettes and, like in one paragraph. And then you can give some directions like certain topics, such as in the context of a school counseling or mental health counseling or marriage and marriage and couples counseling. So it will create a case vignette for you too. Another thing to keep in mind when you are preparing for the role play, sometimes ChatGPT can forget that it is the client and you are the counselor. It switches the role. So what I recommend is like when you respond as a counselor, use the first name of the client. So for instance, I could say, Amanda, I'm so sorry to hear about your loss, and blah 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 blah. So it helps ChatGPT to be in the client role. So that's another thing to keep in mind. And the thing you could do is, based on what skills you want to focus on, you can respond to clients' simulated role play from that reference. For instance, let's say I want to practice my CBT counseling skills, or maybe I want to practice my psychodynamic counseling skills. Maybe I want to do more sort of a person-centered counseling approach. So based on that, you can do the role play and focus on these various theoretical approaches when you are responding to the client in this role play. Also, I would say if you are creating like when you are creating your case vignette for role play, it's good to provide some cultural context as well if you want more like a good role play. So when I create my case vignette, I always provide information such as age of my client, gender of my client, cultural background of my client. For instance, you could see the example here at the screen. Emily, a 25-year-old Native American student, is studying at a prominent university in the United States. So now what is the information here which is important is Native American student. This is like a minority group in United States. So based on your own, geography and culture, if you are more specific about, if you provide more cultural background of your client, ChatGPT's role play will improve and you will have more better experience of doing the role play. Some limitations. One limitation of practicing through ChatGPT, in a role play situation is sometimes the client responses seems very, I would say, perfect, which means that sometimes if you ask your client, okay, what strategies you have already used to address the problem you are experiencing? And then the ChatGPT will go, I have done the following things: number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, which seems inauthentic. Reason being that in actual counseling, a client who is seeking therapy, they are struggling, right? So the response seems a little bit inauthentic. So that's one limitation. Another limitation is when you don't have access to non-verbal cues. If I'm doing a role play with another person, I can see the facial expressions, tone of voice, fillers, silences, pauses, and all these non-verbal cues. But this is not available when you are doing a practice with ChatGPT in a text format. However, right now, ChatGPT give you option of doing a voice chat as well. I tried it. It's okay, but sometimes it's a lot of like it works, but then sometimes technological glitches happen. So I think I recommend student to use text-based, because in text-based, when you respond to a client concern, you have time to think about, okay, based on what this client is saying, what should I do? Should I reflect feelings? Should I reflect meanings? Should I reflect paraphrase simply? Should I summarize? Should I use any other counseling skills? So you have time to think and then respond. In voice chatting, it's hard. So that's why I recommend chat-based simulation rather than voice-based simulation. Okay, so I wanted to show you a little bit how does it look like in practice. So let me stop sharing my screen and share my other screen with you. Let's see. All right, so let me do that. Okay, so you all could see my ChatGPT screen. All right?
Yes.
Everybody can see?
Yes, we can see that.
Great. So I'm looking at my other screen, so I'm not looking at the camera, so forgive me for that. So you could see the screen. This is my ChatGPT screen. So first thing what I need to do is, as I discussed previously, is I need to tell like, what do I want to do? So what you could write something like this. I am a counselor in training. I want to practice counseling skills through role play. I will take the role of a counselor and you will take the role of a client. Okay, so let me hit enter and see what ChatGPT says. Very interesting. It says, great, let's begin. Could you provide a brief description of the client you would like me to play? For example, their age, background, situation, or any specific challenge they are facing. This will help create a realistic and helpful practice scenario for you. All right. So now I'm going to provide a case Winnie to ChatGPT to play that role. So I'm going to say, let's see. So you could see on my screen, I have just copy pasted a case here. So you could read, sure, here are the client's details regarding the role play. And this is the role. Shobha is a 30-year-old woman who worked in a software company and recently lost her job due to company downsizing. She had been with the company for over 7 years and had developed strong relationships with her colleagues. Shobha worked hard at the company, worked long hours, and sacrificed her personal life for the job. Losing the job made her feel devastated and stressed about her future. She recently bought a home for her parents by taking a home loan. And now, after losing the job, she is stressed about paying the monthly installment for the home loan. She is feeling a sense of failure and started questioning her self-work and abilities. Then she'll be self-worth, not self-work. Sorry for that. Self-worth and abilities. She lives alone and does not have a strong support system except her parents. She has not disclosed losing her job to her parents yet. She thinks that her parents would be stressed too, and she does not want her parents to be stressed. So what you could see here is that now I'm providing a case for ChatGPT to role play. So let me hit enter. So now ChatGPT says, thank you for providing such a detailed description of Shobha. Let's dive into the role play. I will stay in the character throughout, responding as Shobha would based on her situation. And you can start the session whenever you are ready. So now I'm ready. So I could say something like this. So I can write, hello Shobha, good to see you. So tell me, let me fix that. Tell me what brings you in here. So simple, I'm asking what issues brought her to counseling. So that is my first response as a welcoming response to my client. Now let's see. So this is what now the role play had started. Now ChatGPT's responses are from the client. So Shobha sighs and looks down for a moment before speaking. Thank you for seeing me. I don't know where to start. I've been feeling so lost lately. A few weeks ago, I lost my job. The company I worked at for 7 years had to downsize, and I was one of the people they let go. It's been really hard because that job wasn't just work for me. It felt like my entire life. I put everything into it, and now it's just gone. I've been trying to keep it together, but it feels like everything is crumbling. I recently bought a house for my parents, and there's a home loan I need to pay off. I haven't even told myself yet I'm scared too. They have sacrificed so much for me, and I don't want them to feel stressed or disappointed in me. But the truth is, I don't know how I'm going to manage all of this. And then she pauses and takes a shaky breath. I feel like a complete failure, like maybe I'm not good enough. I don't even know where to begin to fix it. and it's just overwhelming. So now it's my turn as a counselor to respond to this client sharing. What should I say? So first thing first, I'm going to say something like, I'm so sorry to hear that. Losing a job where you have 7 years working so hard, it must be very hard, particularly when you have so much financial responsibilities. So I am trying to show my empathy towards my client, right? And I am just kind of paraphrasing like, okay, it's very hard for you because you have so much financial responsibility. You have taken a home loan and all that. So let me respond this as a client, sorry, a counselor. Now, the client is saying, yeah, it's been really tough. I worked so many late nights, missed so many personal moments because I thought it was all worth it. And now it feels like none of that mattered. I keep asking myself if I did something wrong or if I could have done more or to prevent this. And then there's the financial pressure, the home loan. It's like this constant weight on my chest. I don't even know how to tell my parents. They have always been so proud of me. And now I feel like I'm letting them down. It's just so much at all. I don't even know where to begin picking myself back up. It feels like I'm stuck in this pit and I don't see a way out. So now I can respond something like, because in this response, you could see like the client is saying that this client has given so much to the company, but it seems like the company doesn't care anything. So I can respond like something like this. It hurts when you give so much to this organization and all of a sudden those efforts seem to not count at all. Now let's see. Exactly. It's like all those years of hard work and sacrifice were just erased in a single moment. I stayed late, worked weekends, and gave everything I had to do the job. I thought I was building something stable, something that could last. But now it feels like none of it mattered, like I was just disposable. And it's not just work itself, it's the relationship too. I was really close to my colleagues. They were like a second family. Now I feel like I've lost that too. It's not just the job, you know, it's a sense of purpose, the routine, the connection, all gone. So you can continue this conversation with, let me stop sharing my screen and come back to the PowerPoint. So what I'm saying is you can continue this practice as a counselor. And once you have done, next thing you could do is download or copy this whole conversation and ask yourself, based on your responses, how happy you are with your responses. Do you think you did a good job in terms of all those skills that you have learned in the class? All those basic counseling skills, advanced counseling skills? Or maybe, let's say, if I'm doing a practice using, let's say, CBT approach to counseling. Now, if I'm doing CBT, my question, or if it is my transcript is being assessed by my evaluator, they can ask how good I did in my role play as a counselor demonstrating CBT skills. So you can use these to practice and refine your counseling skills. So that's what I wanted to share with all of you. And based on your, wherever you are in the program as a educator, generally I introduce this to my students in the class. I first teach them how to use ChatGPT as a simulated client and practice it at their home. And they can send me the transcript. I can evaluate the transcript of the conversation and give them more feedback. So I have found this very, very helpful, particularly in my clinical skill classes. So that was about how you all can use AI in assessment of your student, as well as helping them learn or creating content for your classes. Now let's switch gears and talk about how AI can be used in counseling, like delivery of such services. So in counseling, basically, there is a lot of companies right now which are providing, they have developed certain programs where they use AI algorithms, and then these algorithms use, what they do is they help analyze the client data. And based on the analysis of the client data, whether it's the demographic data or diagnosis-related data, and you can do differential decision making about what might be a best way to support this client. You can, with the help of AI, you can do like expedite the clinical assessment. So what it means is, as counselor in practice, if I'm seeing a client, obviously you collect, the client walks in your office, you collect all the data, paperwork is done. And then based on those initial data and maybe the first session data, you diagnose the client and decide what might be a good treatment approach for this client. Now, when you are doing the clinical assessment for the client, this is where the AI these days is being used to create the treatment plan and assessment of the client. Also, AI can be used, and it's being used actually to, I call it like confirmatory assessment. What it means is, let's say I'm diagnosing a client, and then what I could do is like, I keep my diagnosis separate, and then I ask AI to diagnose this client individually, like separately. And then I compare my diagnosis and with the AI diagnosis. So what it does, let's say my diagnosis and AI diagnosis is exactly same. So it gives me sort of a confirmatory assessment in the sense like, okay, we both are on the same page. Now let's say if the my assessment is very different from the assessment done by the AI. In that case, I will go through the AI's diagnosis and ask myself, okay, does it seem rational? Does it seem valid? And if it is, maybe because maybe I overlooked some of the data of the client, which AI picked up. So what it does, it really helps you to do a better diagnosis of your client. Another thing I would always recommend when it is used in mental health care is like the approach that that all of us here use is the co-pilot approach process. A co-pilot is like, you are flying a plane and you have this co-pilot and assistant. The job of a co-pilot is not to drive the plane, but to support the main pilot. Similarly, in a counseling scenario, if I'm providing mental health services to a client, AI should not be on the driving seat. I am in the driving seat. The AI is like a supporting tool that can help me in performing my job. So co-pilot approach is what is being used in mental health field, and we highly recommend that. We talked about already enhanced efficiency of the assessment process. Obviously, it enhances that. Also like accessibility for individuals seeking help as well, because technology, sometimes there are certain rural areas where there are not enough mental health professionals. This is where, with the help of AI, you can reach out to more people and also provide a better service in less time with more efficiency, particularly for lesser problem, like less mild level of mental health issues rather than very serious level of accessibility. That's I already talked about. Reduction in the stigma again, and the problem with mental health is like there is a lot of stigma around mental health. So now with the help of AI, we can reach out to people where people can avail mental health services within their homes. They don't have to go to manually, a clinic. They can take those services from their homes with the help of AI as a supporting tool. So it's like reducing the stigma as well. Efficiency, we already talked about. And when you use AI as a supportive tool in delivering counseling services, mental health services, it increased the evidence practice, interventions, and more insights because AI can help process the data and give you more sort of insight about what might be a good approach or treatment plan for your client. AI can be more helpful also in like creating a personalized treatment plan. So based on, I think we talked about differential diagnosis where based on all the data, demographic data, symptom-based data, or your conversation-based data, you can use all this data, put it in AI, and AI can help you to in diagnosis, creating a personal treatment plan, and helping the client, like to actively engage in their mental health journey. So that's how AI can be used effectively as an assistant, as a supporting tool in that process. However, as you could see on the right side of your screen, AI is a tool, not a replacement for human counselors. That's so true right now based on the technology we have. Maybe in future, who knows, 5 years down the line, AI can be more, improved and get it better. But right now, what we have, it is not a replacement for human counselor, meaning that AI, what I feel personally is like developing an emotional connection, empathy. AI cannot really replace a human in that context. How to build trust, how to, between a client and counselor. AI cannot replace that human factor. So these are a few, limitations when we try to incorporate AI in our practice. And that is why I said AI should be used as like a co-pilot. AI can help you if you are a practitioner in terms of writing your notes. So after each session, you write your therapy notes. So what you could do, and there are already some companies have these softwares, AI tools, where based on the recording of your session, what you discuss, it will write a template. It will write the first draft of your case note. And then obviously you cannot blindly follow that case note, but you read through and just edit it and make changes if needed. So what it does is it saves your time as a practitioner, documenting the client data. And here are some examples you could see. These are some companies, which are very popular here. Ilios, Visa, Warbot, MindSpa, all these different companies, AI, mental health, AI-based companies, they are offering different services. Like if I'm a practitioner, they can help me like my documentation process, and there are some chatbot, like, mental health chatbot, where a person can just chat with a chatbot and sort of get help if they're having some minor issues, mental health. So in your spare time, I'm mindful of the time too. So you can explore these resources to understand what services are available when it comes to providing mental health care. Now let's switch gears about and spend some time in clinical supervision, how AI can be used as when you're providing supervision, whether it's your students or whether you are providing supervision to a practitioner in the field. Obviously, in supervision AI, as I said, it can help with documentation, can save some time. One thing that I have seen, there are some companies which are offering the services, which is it can generate real-time posts or post-session data. So let's say if I'm providing a counseling services, and let's say I'm on a Zoom video call, AI can directly in real time generate data from that session and give me real-time feedback, and then which can help me provide better services. I can change my strategy. I can focus on certain things that maybe I was missing. Or after the session is done, these AI can help me analyze the data. So it's like a post-session data analysis of the session. So, like sometime you can, when I was in my doc program, we used to have like a clinic where, we used to see clients, and there were cameras in the room, and my supervisor used to sit in the operation room watching the live session. And then in the mid session, we used to take break for 5 minutes, and I come to my supervisor, and he provided a lot of feedback. Okay, I can see that you said this thing, and the client is talking this thing. You can focus on this thing. So I was getting a side of live supervision. And also we were supervised as student post session. So after the session is done, your supervisor can watch the video of your session and give you feedback based on what they notice. Now, AI can give you more information about what is there in some feedback about your session. So here is, you see, let's go back. So one thing AI can help with, like the data. So how much time, let's say if the session is 50 minutes long, out of 50 minutes, how many times overall total the client is doing the talking? How much time the counselor is doing the talking? And it gives you some insight about the session. If in a session, let's say out of 50 minutes, 30 minutes time is taken by the counselor. What do you think? It's not a good session. Where the counselor is doing a lot of talking, it's not a good session. And AI can tell you the data, like they can just analyze the data and give you the output. You don't have to watch and note down all the timing. It will tell you all the data. It can tell you, like, these tools can also tell you what are some common phrases used by the client, sort of a thematic analysis. What are some common themes emerging from the session? So here, this is an example you could see, like, you see that the conversation is like a real-time transcription here. And on your right side, you see clinician 50% listening time. So that's a good insight. Like clinician is doing the listening like 50% time, and some like you can see on the right side all the notes, like the comments by your supervisor. So it's another. Let me show you another scene here. So you see on the left side you have all these keywords which are being used by the client. In a way, I'm getting sort of a theme. What is happening in this session? So better data, better analysis with less time for me as a supervisor or even as a counselor to analyze my session. How good was the session? So you can see this one also. Here you see the anxiety theme with the stress 11 times, fear, overwhelming, worry, scream, relationship themes where the client is talking 4 times about parents, 2 times father, 3 times they mention their friend, 2 times they mention their mother, and then the theme of depression, guilt, sadness, unhappiness. So this data is generated by the AI by analyzing your session. And this is like you can get this data real time or post session, which helps the supervisor who is supervising their client. And it also helps the counselor to self-analyze how well the session went. Now, so that was briefly about the supervision, how AI can be used in supervision. Let's spend some time about this, how to write a good prompt for ChatGPT. So here you could see in the left column, acting as a role, and then the mid, it's like create what task you want it to do, and then what do you want? What format do you want the output? Do you want the output in a table form? Do you want the output in a list form? Do you want to output in a summary form, or a PDF form, or a spreadsheet, or graphs, or plain text file? So when you write your prompt, you should keep in mind. So the first prompt is like, what is your role? So if you have noticed in my previous slide, I was talking about I am a counselor educator teaching basic counseling skills. So this is my role. I want you to create a lecture, a 50 minutes lecture on the importance of APA style writing. And then the final thing is what format I want my output. So I could say, I want you to create a list of things that I need to address, or maybe like create a table of items that I need to address. So when you write your prompt, keep these things in mind, and that will help you to write a better prompt. And remember, these AI chatbots, whether ChatGPT or others, their responses are as good as your prompt. If your prompt is not written well, the responses, the output will not be good. So for us as counselor educators, we need to be careful about like when we are like learning the art of writing a good prompt, and that will help us give a better output. I wanted to share another resource. If some of you are working in a school context, like a school counseling setting, this resource called magicschool.ai, you can use it. It's a very good tool. It can help you generate lectures, kind of lesson plans, academic content, all these different things it can do for you. They have both paid version, free version. So I recommend if you are working in a school context, like, providing mental health services in a school context, it's a good resource to visit. Now, our final point is about ethical considerations. So first of all, as we always emphasize, client confidentiality and privacy. So make sure that the data that is being processed by AI tools is encrypted and protected to prevent unauthorized access. Also, make sure that if you are using any kind of AI, make sure you inform your client. So let's say if I'm a practitioner, I use AI in writing notes, it needs to be there in the informed consent, just informing the client what AI you are using and in what ways you are using AI. And also, if you're using AI in your counseling process, then explain it, how it is being used and what might be some possible limitations. So the client should be clearly informed about the AI in whatever ways you are using it. Another thing to keep in mind is the bias and fairness, which is like algorithm bias, because you need to be careful that AI output is not always correct. So you need to be careful to make sure that you re-verify any output that you are using with the help of AI. Sometimes based on the training data, there might be some biases in the responses. So that's important too. Cultural sensitivity, verify that AI tools are appropriate for diverse populations and culturally competent. So again, the idea is same. If I'm using an AI tool, if I'm using any output, I'm asking myself, does the information produced by AI is culturally sensitive and accurate? If not, then I will not use that or I will change that. Professional boundaries, I think we already talked about. Avoid over-reliance on AI tools. Maintain the human-centric nature of counseling. That's another thing I would recommend is using AI more like a co-pilot, not like a main pilot. That's very important. I think that's the best way to phrase it. And also, when you are using AI, make sure you read the local, whatever area you are. If you are in Singapore, make sure what are the rules, what the code of ethics by the counseling association or psychology association or all these associations or government bodies that govern. What are the rules? What are the code of ethics? So make sure you follow that, whatever geographical area of your practice is. Autonomy, also giving, allowing client to decide whether they are comfortable with the AI being part of their counseling process. Again, informed consent, we already talked about. Ensure that the client do not feel pressure to accept AI-supported counseling. And sometimes you see client, I've seen like, in my experience, like youngsters, they are more open. But if you are providing a counseling service to, let's say, a 50-year-old person, they might be skeptical about like a counselor using AI either as a supportive tool or otherwise. So make sure you have the client consent and you provide all the information up front. And also like making sure, as I said, like legal standards, adhere to the laws and regulations governing the use of AI and client data in your reason, and make sure you are ethical compliance and all those things in your area. These compliance also keep periodically changing based on the improvement in technology. So making sure you regularly update yourself with the policies, legal, ethical code of ethics, wherever you are practicing in your field. All right, so that's it. That's what I know I exceeded my time, but I wanted to have some time for us for your questions. So this is our time, next half an hour. Whatever questions you have, Piani, you can frame your questions, and then I would love to answer. As I would also recommend that if there is a question which has been covered during the presentation, we can avoid that, skip those questions.
Okay, yeah. Dr. Rakesh, thank you very much for such a fantastic presentation. I think you cover a lot of things, and I have learned a lot from the use of AI in,
I'm
from
glad.
generating assessment, case scenarios, role playing, supervision. I think it's very comprehensive presentation. I really appreciate that. And then so I think you already cover all the we have, of course, we collect a set of questions from the participant. I think you cover all of those questions already, so I probably no need to go through that specific question. But how about turning the attention to the participant at this point right now? So we have about 32 participants here. Do you have any question to ask? Oh, here we go. We got the question in the chat.
You can write your questions in the chat chat option, and I'm reading some of the questions. So let's read through.
Right. You got that? Yeah. So, but I can read for you, Dr. Rakesh. So
yes,
there's
please.
one question from Joanna asking, would you recommend AI be adopted more by junior or senior practitioner, or is there no specific preference at all?
Thank you for asking this question. And I must tell you my experience, like talking to both junior and senior practitioners, I see that junior practitioners generally they are younger in age and they are born after, let's say, internet age. Their interaction with technology is a slightly different when you are born in 90s and you see internet from a young age versus somebody who is born in 70s, 80s. Senior practitioner, although it's not a rule, but I have seen like senior practitioners, sometimes they are a little bit skeptical uh, about adopting these technologies. Although I've seen some of them like very open, but most of them sometimes they're like a little bit more skeptical as compared to young, new, therapists, new practitioners. They are like, okay, let's use this one. So I have seen that trend here. I don't know what is in Singapore, but here I can see that trend. But for my recommendation is always it doesn't matter whether you are a junior or senior. If you are a junior practitioner, obviously you have supervision, right? Or let's say you have an independent licensor, you start practicing. I would say be careful in the sense that you follow the local ethical code of ethics, legal and ethical code of ethics. And every country right now, every state right now, they have developed sort of their ethical codes. They have updated that. So making sure that you follow the rules of the land, rules of wherever you are practicing, because these rules may change. What may be applicable in one part of Singapore may not be applicable in other, depending on the policy. Maybe it's the same, maybe not. So being aware of those rules, those legal, ethical, making sure to follow those is very, very important. But I will recommend it to both, whether it's junior or senior. There are certain organizations here in US like which sort of govern the field, and they have some certification programs too. So let's say I'm a senior practitioner and I only provide in-person counseling services. Then if I want to shift to online video counseling, telehealth services, they have some certificate program. So, like a week training program, like where they can you can get certified, get certification, and then you can start practicing. And some states here in US, they require you to do that. You cannot provide telehealth counseling without being certified to do so. So if there is a rule like that in Singapore, then it doesn't make difference whether you are a junior or senior because you need to get certified to provide that telehealth online video counseling.
Thank you for the thank you for the detailed explanation. We have one more question there. One of the question is of the various chatbots available, which would you recommend to have more reliable data? Perplexity?
Perplexity, I heard about it. It's a good. In my experience, I have found like if I compare like Claude versus ChatGPT, I do not use Perplexity a lot, although I'm hearing nowadays about it too. For me, I think it also depends on what is the purpose. So for me, let's say, I don't know, Lonsna, your question. So if you are a counselor educator, if you are teaching in a college or university, preparing future counselor, future mental health professionals, in that context, I have found ChatGPT pretty good information, like the information is pretty reliable. Claude is also pretty close, but if I have to choose between the two, I will go with ChatGPT. It's pretty solid. Again, I would say that I do not blindly follow everything that I get in an output. I always read it and just ask myself, Like,
Mm.
does it seem okay? Or if I have any doubt, I go back and check it again. Sometimes I check it from various sources to ensure that the information I'm using is up to date. Like, for instance, if I'm creating a lecture and I'm using the output by ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini by Google, what I do is like I use my books and my research and other sources to just triangulate and make sure that the information is correct. Sometimes I see, sometimes instructor, they simply copy and paste. That I don't recommend that.
Mm. Mm. So yeah, thank you for that. So I actually like one of the sentence that you mentioned. We can use the AI only as a co-pilot. I really like that. So we always serve as a main pilot, of course. So yeah, so that sentence would minimize anxiety about some
Yes.
healthcare professional or some educator as well, that they feel that we might be replaced with the AI. So which I don't think it's
I
possible.
mean,
What do you think about that?
thank you, Piani. I completely agree. I mean, with the pace of technology, I can see like in the next 5-10 years, AI can really, get better and better.
Yeah.
However, I'm still a little skeptical about human connection. Like being with a person in an intimate setting, in a counseling room, where I can just, feel the person. I can
Right.
be
Yeah.
in that moment, in that space.
Right.
I can sense everything. I think that is the main challenge for these technological, companies. And my guess is it is going to take some time. It's
Yeah.
not going to happen like in
I
5 years.
agree. I agree. Yeah.
So
Human
rest
touch.
assured, your job is secure. Our
Yeah.
job is secure.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. Human touch still required.
Still
Yes.
requires, and also it improves our efficiency,
Right. Mhm.
and right now, as I said previously, our most of the therapists, what they do is they use AI for documentation related work or maybe diagnosis related. So what it does, it expedite the process
Yeah.
and makes you as a counselor more
Yeah.
efficient. For
Yep.
instance,
Yeah.
let's say if I see 4 clients in a day or 5 clients in a day, because the rest of the time I have to do like lengthy paperwork, like
Uh-huh.
insurance claim and all these documentation of your client. I think those kind of jobs is
Yeah.
going to be taken care more in most cases is by the AI, so that I can do more and more work like the therapy, it is going to make
Yeah.
my job easier and focus on more important thing rather than paper related documentation and
Right.
all these
Yeah. Save
things.
your time. Yeah. Totally agree on that.
Yeah.
Right. So let's asking the participant. And you have any additional questions to Dr. Rakesh? Yeah. So yeah, seem like no more questions. But yeah, so then yeah, Dr. Rakesh, this is a fantastic session. I really learned a lot from that. So I hope to look forward to work with you in the future, if we have some collaborative projects. So I really look forward for that. So thank you very much for your contribution, your fantastic lecture today. Yeah. And then yeah, so I like to move on to Shawan a little bit. So she would present something. She would share with us some QR code for the feedback for that session. Yeah. So just to let you know that I'm organizing this webinar. So we need to collect the feedback and send, provide to the university. So it's just a formality. So Shawan, you have the QR code? Okay, you like me to, okay, maybe before we go there. So I'd like to, all right, here we go. This is the feedback QR code. So please spend a few minutes to scan the QR code and then provide us from, how you feel about this session and let us know what kind of what kind of information that you'd like to learn more, or you'd like to for us to organize in the future. So please feel free to do that, and we consider it's a valuable information. So we'll just allow a few minutes for here. So ensure you scan the QR code. All right. And then with the kindness of Dr. Rakesh, we'll put the video that we're recording today on the website, and anyone can go visit anytime on our website community, NUS AI Health Community. So please feel free to visit our website and then just check on the information from there. And I'd like to also talk about the next webinar. So Sharon, could you please? Yeah. So here will be the next webinar on January regarding the harnessing the power of AI and IoT to drive medical innovation. So I look forward to see you as well in the next webinar. Okay. And then for today, I think that will be the end of today's session. And again, I really thank you, Dr. Rakesh, for being such a wonderful speaker today. And thank you, Shawan, as well, to help us organize this session. And thank you very much for all participants to join us. Okay, look forward to see you again in the future. Okay, bye-bye. Have a wonderful day over there. Bye-bye. See you soon in January, hopefully. Thank you so much.